Rob?
Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues, and today we're taking a look at the DC Comics signature collection from Mattel, The Phantom Stranger. I gotta tell you right off the bat, I know very, very little of the Phantom Stranger other than from the New 52. And I know that there is plenty to be known about the Phantom Stranger, but as I was growing up, I wasn't reading a lot of comic books that featured the Phantom Stranger in them at all. So if it wasn't for the Trinity War, I would probably know zero about this guy. Always thought he was kind of interesting and kind of mysterious. I mean, I knew enough about the Phantom Stranger to be dangerous talking about him, and that, I mean, really dangerous. Kind of like plastique. If I touch it, it blows up. But there's a little Flash reference for you. TV show. But I always kind of liked the idea, from what little I knew about him, that you really didn't know who and what he was. He didn't really have a secret identity. He was just kind of this mysterious figure that kind of dealt with magic. Now, so I don't end up sounding any more dumb than I already am, I'm not going to go into an origin of him other than what's on the back of the card here. So that way I'm not really reading from Wikipedia or something like that and trying to decide which things I'm going to read. So those of you that like the Phantom Stranger, maybe comment down below and let me kind of know some of the things that maybe I need to know about the Phantom Stranger, or hey, here's some issues that you might really enjoy. I think there's some Phantom Stranger and Batman comics out there. Those might be kind of fun to kind of pick up. But again, you know, let me know down below. So maybe you can give me a history lesson. So we'll just go on to the figure himself here. Again, it's the same Signature Collection Series box that we've seen previously. I did like this type of box. I don't think it would have worked on store shelves for regular DC-UC figures, but these feel like they're something special. Now, I know some of the Signature Collection Series figures that are out there, there were some problems with them, and things are way out of scale, and I'm not going to get into the whole scale thing. We know that a lot of companies are just really kind of poor on the scale of their figures. But anyway, how cool would it have been just to get DC-UC figures in this type of a box, as I kind of drop it there, as opposed to the blister cards that we had. This just, it makes it feel like it's something a little bit more special than just a standard action figure. There's some cool side panel art. We'll talk about the shadow in the eyes of the figure itself once we take a look at it, but I like that he was always wearing this hat that you really couldn't quite see his face, and it was kind of making a mask-ish type of an impression on his face just from the shadow itself. Here is the back of the box. Phantom Stranger, real name, none. Long ago, a man committed an unspeakable sin in an attempt to satisfy his incredible greed. As punishment for his crimes, he is cursed to walk the earth for all eternity as a stranger to man and witness to the destruction of nature of greed. Keeping a vigilant and watchful eye on the happenings of the universe, the enigmatic Phantom Stranger is forbidden to interfere. However, during the world's threatening crisis, the seemingly all-knowing being has been known to appear and sway heroes towards the path of victory. All right, that's the box. Let's take a better look at the Phantom Stranger out of package. Before I start here, thank you, Chapman Films. Again, like I said, this was the other figure that Chapman Films sent me over a year ago with Ocean Master, so it's nice to finally get to be able to review him. And kind of like I said about Ocean Master, this one kind of surprised me a little bit. It's really kind of basic. It's the typical suited body figure that we've seen. I think Ra's al Ghul has this. The Riddler, I have a second Riddler that came out. Alfred looks like this. The Bruce Wayne looks like this. Harvey Dent looks like this. Again, some of the Movie Masters figures were a little bit shorter, but I think you get the idea here with the suited figure. But I think it works rather well with the Phantom Stranger and how they designed him. Just doing a little bit of reading up on the Phantom Stranger with just a couple things I didn't know. Traditionally, at the start, the Phantom Stranger did not have his medallion around his neck. Even during the times where Neil Adams was drawing him, that came just a little bit later. So I'm not entirely sure of the importance of the medallion. I'm sure somebody out there is going, "Oh my gosh, Rob, I can't believe you don't know." Well, sorry, I wasn't reading any books that had him in it until the New 52, and they really weren't making mention of that during the Trinity War. But anyway, we're not here for a history lesson. We're here to look at the figure. And it's done rather well. Now, they I'm still into the Trident mode. They tried to shade his face, I think, the best that they could with more of a spray, kind of like a darker skin tone, which I think, is this not Superman's face? Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have Superman right offhand, but I think this is more of the standard DCUC face. I think it has the white eyes, but they tried to use the, I think just having the hat on alone probably wouldn't have created that shadow that's supposed to be over his eyes and the top part of his face. So they painted it the best that they could. I mean, it's okay. You get him far enough back on the shelf, I think it's going to work. Even just kind of tipping him down a little bit. He's supposed to be, in mystery and cloaked in, secrecy after being such a greedy fellow, is plagued to roam the earth, just trying to offer a hand and see everything that's going on. But he can't interfere. I'm doing finger quotations there, but he kind of does throughout what he does. But anyway, again, like I said, my knowledge of the Phantom Stranger is rather dangerous. So without the risk of sounding even more dumb than I already am, I'm just going to continue to move on. So a lot of his articulation is very familiar if you have a suited type of a figure. His head is on a nice ball joint here. Doesn't look up or down much at all. It's really just in the left and right that you're going to get some rotation out of it. Again, like I've said before, it's kind of one of those with Mattel. Some figures are going to have good range of motion, others aren't, and it's all still the same company making it. So it's like some figures, like, yeah, they have this mane of hair in the back of their head that's preventing them to move, but there's nothing back here that should stop him from moving. The cloak is nice and soft and pliable, much like all the capes would be for standard DCUC figures. I thought it was going to make him a little back heavy, but he stands rather well. I got sidetracked. There's medallions on a nice little chain. It doesn't feel overly too strong, so I think if you or if you're not careful, you could snap this off. I think the links are very kind of cheaply made, but the medallion does look nice. Little Flavor Flav action there. Yo! Okay. The arms are on a ball and socket with the hinge up here. You can kind of see. I didn't notice the hinge that much on other DCUC figures, so I don't know if it's something they did with some of the suited figures. I just didn't notice, but the hinge is rather noticeable right here. But maybe that's just my figure. But or somebody could say, Rob, we've known that throughout DCUC. That's how they do these suited type of figures. But I never paid attention. So the arm does go all the way around. The cloak, I said cape earlier, doesn't get in the way. He has the upper bicep cut, so you can pivot there. A single bend at the elbow. Does turn at the hands, and I like how the hands are open, as if to say, like, come, follow me, please. Both hands are that way, so you can kind of get this whole, like, mystic, like, I'm going to create something. Look at what we've done. Why am I doing that? He does turn at the waist, and I don't think he has an ab crunch. Can't tell through the jacket. I don't think he does. This is probably where I snap the figure in two. I'm going to say for the record, he does not have... No. Oh my gosh, I can't tell. I'm going to say no, he doesn't. So maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe he has an ab crunch, which is fine. He's not going to be... He's just going to be probably a back rower on my shelf, just kind of watching. Does have the T-jointed hips, can get out some really decent splits there. Legs go forward and back. Again, I think it's just the way he goes forward more than he does backwards. Has the cut above the thigh, single bend at the knee, and they have the pin there as if he's supposed to have a foot motion. He does a little bit. It must have been just a little stiff. So yes, he does pivot at the foot, very slightly. Sometimes with the figures that are in like a suit, their pants, the way they're cut, really kind of prevents, usually in the back part of the pant leg, that kind of stops the foot from moving. But Phantom Stranger appears to be able to move quite a bit more than some of my other suited figures do. And that's pretty much it for the Phantom Stranger. A nice addition to my collection. Again, I was not expecting this from Chapman Films at all, so thank you very much, sir. And it was one, like I said, I was probably going to pass on, but I'm glad to have him in my collection. It's that different figure that I'll kind of look at and go, he's actually pretty kind of cool. And has that old, you know, classic DC Comics feel to him, which I really kind of like. So what I want to do right now, I'll bring up all of the Signature Collection figures that I have that surprisingly have all been gifted to me. So thank you very much to everybody that so graciously sent me a nice gift. So here are all the Signature Collection figures from Mattel that I have. Of course, the most recently they reviewed was Ocean Master, and then Damien kind of started off this Farewell Mattel review. These three, Phantom Stranger, Robin, and Ocean Master, came from Chapman Films. Thank you very much, sir. Again, so very grateful. You did not have to do that. I really appreciate it. And Shazam here came from my good buddy, ODC That's Me. Thank you very much, sir. This was the first Signature Collection figure that I had. I love this figure. Again, the hood is really stupid, so that's why he doesn't have the hood on. So I wanted to show my Signature Collection figures from Mattel that I have. Again, final thoughts here. A really cool figure. I think the medallion kind of looks a little rapper-ish, but, you know, it works. I know he's supposed to have it. I don't know if it was totally executed properly, but I think there would be people that would say, hey, he's supposed to have it. So it's a cool accessory to have. It's not one that comes off by the way that the cloak is made, but a surprising figure. When Chapman sent me this, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Maybe it was something he was not totally into, but I like the guy. It's going to be a cool figure to have on my shelf, and it's one that I'm going to smile at and say that came from my good buddy Chapman Films, and thank you very much. And again, it's kind of that old, you know, DC Comics era. When you take a look at him, just some of the early, you know, heroes and villains that they would create just kind of have this mysterioso about him, kind of like the Phantom or the Phantom, the Shadow is what I'm trying to think of. Just that old, you know, 1930s, you know, mystery type of figure. So a very, very cool figure to have in my collection. So today we'll be taking a look at the DC Comics Signature Collection series from Mattel. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues, signing off saying we will see you guys next time. Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues, and today we're taking a look at the Signature Collection from Mattel, the DC Comics. Oh, don't you love it when I mess up? Again, Chapman Films, thank you very much. This is one of the other figures that Chapman Films sent me along with Ocean Master. And like I was saying about Ocean Master, another figure that kind of surprised me. This would have been one I definitely probably would have passed on. Damn it. Alright, first and foremost, thank you Chapman Films. This was the other figure that Chapman Films sent me along with Ocean Master. And I gotta say, this would have been one I think I definitely probably would have passed on, just due to the fact that I'm really unfamiliar with the character. And unless he had a big part in the comics I was reading with Batman and Robin, Before I start here, again, thank you, Chapman Films. This was the other figure that Chapman Films sent me along with Ocean Master, so thank you very much. Oh, man.